So excited for you guys to be here today and really just taking a moment to celebrate yourself that you've taken this time out of your calendar, out of your day. I know we are all busy, we have busy lives, but this step alone of showing yourself that, hey, I matter and I'm important and I deserve to take time to take care of myself is alone such a huge step. So give yourself a pat on the back for that already. And I think I'll get us started. So if you want to put in the chat where you're joining from today, I'd love to know. It's always fun to see. We always have people like all over the world. I'm outside of Denver, Colorado, about 30 minutes, but I always travel a lot too. So sometimes I'm crazy locations in the world. South London, fine. Yes, we have another global person. That's always fun to see. All right, awesome. So we'll get started. I do want you to know that even though I'm recording this today, this is a private space. So the replay is only going to be going out to people who have registered for this workshop and are also in your same shoes. I promise you, no one is taking an hour out of their day to just watch this just because. So I want you to know that this is a safe space, and really the more that you guys show up today and the more you participate, the more I can help you. When we get to the solution part of how to stop secret eating, we're going to be doing some journal prompts and some things that you guys can put in the chat if you feel comfortable. And this will allow me to really customize today's workshop and training to you and your unique goals. So the more open you can be, the more you're going to get out of it. So I encourage you guys to really take this time to put away any distractions, make this time to focus in for yourself, and we'll get started. So, a 2017 study found that secret eating is present in upwards of 27% of children and 34% of adolescents who are overweight or obese. And I wanted to share this statistic so you know that you're not alone, that this is really a normal behavior when you're struggling with food. And I think that these statistics would actually be much higher if people were not so secretive about it. But just knowing that whatever you're dealing with today, is if we look at it from the psychological perspective, is actually going to make a lot of sense. If you don't know me, hello, I'm Amber Abila. You can find me most places on the internet at The Confident Eater. And I'm a recovered binge eater, bulimic, disordered eater, body hater. I really have dealt with it all. But I didn't always feel this way around food. I have been on this journey for a long time, and I'm coaching on this today because I've been there myself. I always joke and say, this wasn't my dream job until it happened to be my job. I never wanted to be a binge eating coach necessarily, but once I overcame it, I knew that I had to help other people do the same because I was rapidly gaining weight. I felt so out of control around food. I felt like nothing could stop me from eating. And I really tried everything in my journey with a lot that didn't work, which is why I had to go out and find my own solutions. I first went to therapy, and this is where most people go if they want to take a psychological approach. And therapy can be great. Therapy can help with a lot of things, but I found that it just kept me stuck in the past. I was searching for traumas that I just couldn't quite find or couldn't see how they were connected to my eating habits. So I never learned any actionable skills. I tried counting calories and macros. I thought if I can just stick to this limit, then everything would be okay. But I still felt like I was thinking about food all day long. I tried just cutting out sugar alone. I thought, well, if I'm binging on sugar, maybe sugar is the problem. But then I was binge eating on pizza and peanut butter and all these other things. I tried intermittent fasting, creating this rule that, okay, no eating after 6 p.m. Worked for a little bit, but then I started breaking my own rule. I got coaching through a weight loss coach, and I found that the obsession with weight loss was still there. And then I finally went and tried intuitive eating, but found I was still just binge eating just as much as ever before, if not even more, because I was just giving myself permission to eat all the things, and that really just looked like to me giving myself permission to eat lots and lots of food. So it wasn't until I started learning the psychology of habits and how to rewire my brain that everything shifted for me. So this is really the approach that I take in my coaching today. I went out and got certified in coaching the unconscious brain, which is basically this lower part of our brain that when we say something like, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. How many of you guys have said that before? I know I have. Yeah, we feel like, okay, I can see some useful tips that I found online, but I'm just not implementing it. And that's because we haven't learned how to address our unconscious brain. So I use a variety of techniques, a little bit from a lot of different disciplines in my coaching now. I use cognitive behavioral therapy, also that I call it as thought work, positive psychology, relaxation techniques, hypnosis, and just giving you the essential knowledge of how to eat like a natural eater. Sometimes we just need to know, well, how do normal eaters eat in the first place? And I give you that knowledge throughout my coaching. So if you have ever eaten in the car or bathroom or alone, if you have snuck food late at night when everyone else is asleep in bed, pulled food out of the trash can, told yourself this doesn't count because no one saw it, I want you to know you're not alone. And I want you to put yes in the chat if you've ever done any of these before, so everyone else knows that they're not alone if they've also done this. One of my biggest moments that I remember from college, yep, you're here with us, yep, was I was in a sorority in college, and we would always have like these big dinners because there was a lot of people there, of course. And I remember like I would eat a couple cookies around my friends, but I still had this strong urge for more. And so I'd sneak the cookies in my pocket and I'd go to the bathroom stall and I tried to like munch it as quietly as I could, as quickly as I could, so I could do what I wanted to do without anyone seeing. And I was just talking to a new client the other day who was telling me how she always eats when her husband is gone and will track his location because she thinks like if he doesn't see it, if I can just do it really quickly, maybe it doesn't count. But as we'll learn today, it still always counts because we still see it. So we're going to release the shame of it today. First, let's think about why do we secret eat in the first place? There are two main reasons that I see coming up of why we do this. One is to protect our identity as a healthy person. We want to be perceived and viewed as a certain way. And the second reason is this thought of I'm doing something wrong, the guilt and the shame around it. So let's first start with the first one. To protect our identity as a healthy person, we want to be viewed positively. We don't want people to judge us. And if you're anything like I would order like the plain grilled chicken salad out with the dressing on the side because I wanted people to think that I was on my weight loss journey and I was being healthy and I had it all together. I didn't want anyone thinking that my life, that it seemed perfect on the outside, was actually really messy and imperfect. So when we're trying to protect this identity and make sure no one judges us, this tends to be a survival pattern that stems from the fear of judgment. So this could be coming from shame, of this belief that if people knew this about me, they would reject me. That if my husband found out that I was eating this much, he would leave me. That if my family member found out I was eating this much, they would beat me up for it or tell me to get it together. We might have some inner child wounds too. So many secret eaters have learned that as a child, it wasn't safe to express their needs or their emotions or their messiness. They were taught by their family or their parents that we need to keep this perfect look. So eating alone and secretly kind of becomes this act of rebellion and self-soothing to kind of get that messiness out in the world without anyone having to see. A lot of people also say that admitting it makes it feel real. Like if we have to say that I'm doing this and we do it in front of another person, we're saying that this is a problem and we don't want to admit it that's a problem. So sometimes it's hard to even admit to ourselves, let alone someone else. We think that if we start working on these eating habits, then finally they're going to get worse, or they're going to come into this light where they've been in the dark for so long. We might wonder, what might people think of us? Will they think I'm crazy? Will they judge me? Will they look down upon me? Maybe my boss will think I'm unprofessional if he sees me eating the donut, so I'm going to sneak it in the corner. Or maybe my mom will be disappointed in me, so I'm going to try to eat good around her and then eat how I want when I'm at home. But the reason that we think these things is because we're thinking them about ourselves. So the reason we think people will think we're crazy if they saw us eating this way is because we think we're crazy. We're judging ourselves. We're looking down upon us. We think we look unprofessional. We're disappointed in us. So that's a good start to look at is, if I'm worried about other people judging me, am I doing that judgment around myself? And then finally, we think that, maybe if we eat around other people, we would lose control. And I don't want to be seen losing control around others. This is the fear of being seen in our vulnerability. So we eat in secret to try to protect ourselves and our identity, but this protection can sort of become like a prison of sorts where we're trapped inside our own habits and we don't want anyone to know. We're trying to make sure we don't even know. And it's a really lonely, hard place to be. But I know what it's like. It can feel like we almost can be bad without anyone having to see. We can finally eat the things that we want to. But really, secret eating is not about the food itself. The food is just a neutral thing. It just exists in the world. It's more about what we're afraid that secret eating reveals about us. So then the second thing, that big reason of why we might be secret eating, is this guilt and shame attached because of this thought of I'm doing something wrong. So there's a difference between shame and guilt, but both of them can make us want to hide. Shame is thinking there's something wrong with me. Guilt is thinking I've done something wrong. I do think it's helpful to start to shift into guilt away from the shame. That's like one step up, and then we can learn to release the guilt altogether. But if we're making secret eating mean there's something wrong with us, then we are really wanting to hide from the world. Versus if we just make it into something we've done, sometimes in the past I've binged, then it doesn't become such a big thing about who we are. And anytime that we have shame and guilt, I call it the shame bubble, where we're just stuck in it and we can't do anything about it because we've shoved all this in a dark closet and we're not able to change it then. So, the solution to stop secret eating. We're gonna use this time to do a little reflection. So, this is the time where, if you're able to put in the chat, get ready to start thinking and typing. So the first step is to spot the pattern. So like I said, when we tend to have this shame bubble, we're in the dark about it all, we're pretending like it doesn't exist, we can't change it. Awareness is always the first step to change. If we're not aware that something is happening and we're not acknowledging it, it can't be changed. So by first spotting when the pattern happens and getting this awareness around it, we're putting the light on it and we're able to see when this might happen so we can be prepared for it. So I first want you to identify, when does this normally happen for you? Is it at nighttime, after a conflict, when you're alone? So you can put in the chat or you can unmute if you want to. For me, it was always when my roommates left the house and I was alone. Yep. Sometimes for me, it was late at night too. Then the next thing I want you to look at are, what are your go-to places or foods, emotions before a secret eating episode? Okay, it happens at bedtime when I'm at my own, but not all the time, usually one or three times a week. An answer that came in that I wasn't expecting was when I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, interesting, right? Interesting. So with the overwhelm, that could be when you are starting to feel this big emotion and you're not sure how to handle it. So it's almost a way of escaping yourself and the emotion at the same time. So that could be one of your go-to emotions before a secret eating episode to be aware of not to be scared of it. This isn't to say, oh my gosh, I hope I never get overwhelmed, but to say, I know that when I get overwhelmed, I'm gonna get this urge to go and binge downstairs alone. And I'm just gonna watch out for that, because then I can bring in some tools and some resources and some new thoughts around that to shift my mindset so I don't do that anymore. Who are you afraid of seeing you eat imperfectly, and why? Is there anyone that comes to mind that you're like, ooh, this person in particular, I would never want them to see me eating this way? For me, it's always been any partners I've been with, because I didn't want them to think I was unattractive or didn't have any self-control. Peanut butter is a big one. Anyone. Yeah, and it could be anyone too. Anyone. I don't want anyone to see. And then what are you afraid would happen if someone did see you eating like this? So let's say someone walked in on you and they saw you with the cabinets all flung open, going through them all, perusing them, the wrappers around you. What are you afraid would happen if they did see you do this? I'm already a big person. I don't want them to think I don't care about them myself. Yeah, Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, again, going back to what they might think of you, you might be thinking about yourself. I don't want to think about myself that I don't care about myself. And this behavior feels like it's going against my self-care. Hurt you? Yeah. And Cheryl, I hope that's not physically. Hopefully it's just maybe emotionally if they would say something because words can hurt too. Yeah. But it makes sense then if we're afraid of someone hurting us emotionally, yeah. Of course we want to eat in secret. With those thoughts of other people, we can see, they might do that. We don't know. We don't always know how other people will react. But more often than not, people are a lot more understanding and compassionate than we make them out to be if we help them be understanding and compassionate. A lot of times people can't be compassionate because we don't tell them the truth about what's going on. If we just say, oh, I'm fine, it's no big deal, like don't worry about it, then they're not going to think it's a big deal and they're not going to worry about it, or they might have some judgment for us about it. But if we say, you know what, I've been really struggling with this and this has been really hard, they might understand it more. And what you'll find, again, with that statistic in the beginning, is a lot more people deal with this than you might imagine. So the second step is to unravel the thoughts that we're doing something wrong or being bad. So you can either unmute or you can take a second if you want to journal and get this a little bit deeper. Think about a recent time in specific. Okay, I know that you can probably think of lots of times. I sure know I could, but I want you to find one specific memory. Anytime we can find one specific memory, that's what lights up the brain pathway. That's what makes it neuroplastic and able to change. So when you are able to find the specifics, we have an opportunity right here, right now, to literally start changing your brain and how you think about these situations and what you might want to do differently. Okay, in the chat, I have finally told my housemate about my experiences, but never do in front of her. I'm really proud of you for opening up about that. I think that is really huge and something that is difficult to do. It's vulnerable. And anytime we're vulnerable, we risk rejection. But if you think about a triangle of connection, how we become closer with people in our life is we are either more vulnerable with them or we spend more time with them. That's how like our best friends, our partners, the people we're closest with in our life, that's how we become close with them. So being vulnerable, it does risk rejection. There's a possibility that someone could think something negative about us, but it also gives us the opportunity to gain connection and bring us a layer deeper to someone. Imagine it when a best friend or someone has told you about something that they're struggling with, that they're having a hard time with dealing with. And they're like, hey, friend, I'm just really struggling with this right now. And I wanted you to know this. You probably felt so much closer to them and wanted to support them and wanted to help them. And that's the case with a lot of people in our life too. She said she had her own experience with it, was very compassionate. Yeah, exactly. So with this question here, I want you to think back to the specific moment and answer this of was I doing something wrong or bad? Because some interesting insights can come up around this. Maybe you think I was doing something wrong or bad. I didn't want to be doing it. And that can give us some insights. Or it might be something along the lines of, well, diet culture has taught me so many food rules that I feel like anytime I eat, I'm doing something bad. If I eat a banana, I'm doing something bad. If I eat cheese, I'm doing something bad. If I eat ice cream, I'm doing something bad. Heck, like, I'm sure even broccoli has been demonized in some way. So this is good to get clarity on, are we actually doing something wrong here, or have I just been taught that I'm doing something wrong? My partner knows, but I don't tell anyone else due to being negative due to my past. But I don't do it in front of him either. Yeah, and this isn't to say that you have to start like having your binges in front of everyone, but I want you to start eating as if you were in front of someone, as if your partner, your friend were in front of you, and to see how that changes your experience. So I'm giving you guys a second to type this out, but really questioning, was I doing something wrong or bad in these moments? I'll give you an example. For me, I would feel guilty like if I had a snack. I would have like an apple and I'd feel like, ooh, I'm not supposed to be snacking. And I would even secretly eat an apple on my own. And then there was other times where I would have a 3,000 calorie binge after already having a ginormous dinner. And then I felt like I truly was doing something wrong. But it's good to separate these two things out because there's a lot of instances where you probably aren't doing something that bad, but the guilt just comes in, and the guilt is what makes us want to hide. So once you have identified these things and whether or not it was something you actually wanted to do or it was just the guilt of it, I want you to think about how might you show up when you think that way. If you think you're doing something wrong or being bad, what does that lead to? And what might change if you got curious and compassionate instead? All right, in the chat here, I do it because I think of my past and then it makes me binge. There's nothing I can be doing. Sometimes I can have triggers, but just sitting in the thoughts make me do it. So this is a really common thing I see people believing is that we have the thoughts about it and then we just go do it. One of the biggest insights I had on my journey that helped me stop binge eating, and this thought is so important to have. Just because your brain tells you something doesn't mean it's true. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean you need to listen to it. As humans, we have an estimated 60,000 thoughts every single day that go through your brain. And I can guarantee you, you do not act on all of them. All of these thoughts go through our brain, and some of them we act on, some of them we don't. We learn from the time we're 2 years old that just because we have a thought that we're really angry at someone and we want to hit them or pinch them or bite them, doesn't mean we have to do that. We can just sit with our hands to ourselves, we can breathe through it, and we're in charge of our actions. And I want you to use that same principle to our actions around food. Because when we remind ourselves that we are in charge, it takes our power back. We're able to make a choice then. I think eating half of a jar of giant peanut butter isn't good for my body. But was it bad? I guess not. I think I am bad already, which is why I'm eating this way. Good awareness. So I think, peanut butter is a pretty whole food when you look at it, especially if it's just natural peanut butter. Peanut butter is something that can be fueling for our body. It's something that can give us energy. And even though, yes, it might be higher in calories, calories in of them themselves are not bad. Calories are just a unit of energy, and we need energy to survive. So if you go into starting eating the peanut butter, thinking, I'm already being bad, I've already messed up, I've already ruined the day, that's probably what's leading you to have half the jar. Versus if you were to go into it and think, I'm safe to eat this food, this is just peanut butter. Yes, there's certain foods that we need different amounts of, but if we just allowed ourselves permission to have that peanut butter without that guilt, you might realize that you might have a lot less of it. And if we, again, you're noticing this already. I think I'm bad already, which is why I'm eating this way. We're like, I've already ruined the day. I'm already being a bad person. I'm already a bad eater. I already struggle with binge eating. I don't know if I can change this. There's no hope for me. And then we just keep going. So if we can come back to curiosity and compassion and say, how interesting that I like to eat more peanut butter right now. What if I could stop here and feel really proud of myself? Maybe you get to a fourth of the jar of peanut butter. And I want you to celebrate the heck out of yourself and say, I did it. I had a half or a fourth of a peanut butter jar instead of half. Because that is success. Even though it's not maybe where you want to be of having a tablespoon or two, it's closer. That's halfway there. Sending you a lot of love. But it's hard to stop the thoughts that have been there for so long, that have been there for as long as I can remember. Yeah, and this would be, I could give a whole nother presentation on food noise and the thoughts that are coming up and how to handle those. But just know that one of my favorite exercises for this, I'll give you this. If you sit on your hands, and I think about food right now, I think about the peanut butter, I think about the cookies, I think about it all. It doesn't matter how long or how hard or what my brain is telling me to go eat the food for. I'm not going to do it until I give myself the okay right now and I say, okay, lift up my hands and go get food. So you can use this as like kind of a tactical reminder. It's kind of fun to, actually sitting on your hands so you don't grab the food if you're at the table or at a restaurant or something. But it's a good reminder to yourself that just because you have the thoughts doesn't mean they can make you act, and you can still make a choice. When you say I'm safe to eat this food, I feel like bursting into tears. Yeah. And I know, unfortunately, in the society that we live in, that's very fat phobic and very diet culture-y. Sometimes it can feel like it's not safe to eat the food. But we're still human at the end of the day, and we need food to eat. Everyone needs food to eat. We all need nourishment, we all need calories, and we deserve to eat nourishment and calories. That's how we stay alive. I feel the same as what Jenny said about being separated from me. It's got two people in me. I binge on sharing bags of crisps about six at a time. If you feel like it's a large amount of quantity in the binge, like for example, the half a jar of peanut butter or the six bag of chips, I would imagine that there's probably some level of restricting that's also going on. Because if you are properly nourished and fed, you might still overeat. There are still some other reasons you might be overeating, but you'll notice that as you start to properly nourish and fuel yourself, that you won't have quite that same desire to eat there. I used to be so scared of eating more food, but then I realized that sometimes me eating an extra 300 calories at my lunch prevents 3,000 calories of binge eating later that night, and that's worth it. Okay, the third step is to start valuing your opinion of yourself over others' opinions. We oftentimes place so much value on what do other people think of me. And this is normal because we're social creatures as humans. We forget sometimes that all we are is animals at the end of the day. And as social animals, we want to be included in the tribe. We think that if other people are judging us, that means they're going to kick us out of the tribe and we're going to starve to death and we're not going to stay alive. That's not going to happen anymore. We have all kinds of different tribes and we can always reorient ourselves to a different friend group or tribe. But when we start valuing our opinion of ourselves, it reminds ourselves that we can't hide from ourselves. We always see the truth. No matter if no one else is around, if we are binge eating in secret, it changes our opinion of ourselves. And so if we can start to say that how I think about myself matters, then we're more likely to act in a way that we want to be acting, even when we're alone. In the chat, I just found out I have a fatty liver, and so now I'm making myself ill. I don't even care when I do, as even if I'm full, it still happens. This is a common mindset to get into of it's like, I feel like I'm just too far gone. Like it's not even worth it anymore. I've already, ruined my health, ruined these things. But the truth is, at any point in time, you can change. And now I don't know about that much about fatty liver and if it's reversible or not. If it is, that's a good sign. But either way, at the end of the day, even if your health, some parts of it aren't in the best condition right now, and even if that truly is reversible or isn't reversible, which most things are, even just choosing to eat differently for ourselves because we want to feel proud of ourselves at the end of the day is reason enough. I'm having a big aha moment about feeling like I shouldn't exist, even food, remembering my parents and a lack of money for food and feeling a burden, even for basic sustenance. Such a good insight. No wonder I keep eating. This is so huge, the awareness. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that is such an interesting thing of, how if your parents made you feel guilty for asking for food, maybe you were hungry one morning and they say, we don't have the money for it. It's like, we'll wait till dinner. That is a big insight. And I want you to remind yourself right now and you can just take a moment, put your hands on your heart and just be there for yourself and let you know that you're an adult now. That was then and this is now. Right. And I don't know your financial situation where you're at, of course, but we're all adults now. We all have the ability, if you're here today, to go get some sort of food for yourself, to decide to give yourself the nourishment. And it's almost like reparenting ourselves and saying, I'm going to be the parent now. And I'm going to say, it's okay, honey. It's safe for you to eat. You're deserving of food and sustenance. And that was my parents, but I am not my parents. I can parent myself now. I'm an adult. Okay, and then we're going to release the identity around being a perfect or healthy eater. I want you to allow yourself to just be the normal eater, the confident eater, the intuitive eater, whatever word resonates with you. Normal eaters are not perfect eaters. I want you to hear that again. Normal eaters are not perfect eaters. I have done a lot of work on my relationship with food. I have coached people through this for 4+ years, I think 5 years now, and I am not a perfect eater. I sometimes overeat still. I sometimes undereat. I sometimes forget to eat. I sometimes have a little too much at a Christmas party. And that's okay. Because what makes someone a normal eater is not that they never overeat or that they eat perfectly, but that they allow the ebb and flow to happen without making it mean anything. It's when we start to mean, oh no, I've had one cookie. Now I'm off track. I'm off the rails. Guess I'll say screw it for the rest of the day. That one cookie was not the problem. It was when we said screw it and then ate five more cookies after that. Those five cookies are the problem, not the first one. So release this identity of I have to be this perfect, healthy eater all the time. And the truth is, reminding yourself that people could have thoughts about what you're eating. Sometimes people even feel guilty, like having one cookie or just eating food at a party. And maybe that's for you if you're dealing with all of these thoughts from the past that might be coming up. You might even feel guilty having any food at a party. But the truth is, people might have thoughts about us. People might think, oh, she's already overweight. She should just lose weight and not eat anything. They might think that. But we need to come back to our why. The reason that we're choosing to nourish ourselves and eat this food is because we deserve peace around food. We deserve food freedom. We don't have to be this perfect, healthy eater, and we want to have a new experience around food. I'm just looking in the chat here. I try to, but that child is fighting still inside of me, trying to keep me safe. Yeah. And Cheryl, this is something that's so common and something that I address a lot in coaching. That's your unconscious mind. Any beliefs that we get from our parents are ingrained really strongly in our unconscious mind because just think about what our parents symbolize. Again, everything makes sense from a survival perspective here. To our survival brain, our parents must be the all-knowing gods because they lived long enough to get to a reproductive age and give birth to us. So they must know everything. So any beliefs that we got from our caregivers are pretty strongly ingrained. It does not mean they can't be changed, but just so you can understand where, this child that feels like they can't have this food or they need to hide it. That child inside of you is just thinking that it's trying to help you because it thinks that the beliefs from your parents are the things that helped them survive. And it might have helped them survive, but that doesn't mean it's helping you thrive right now. So you can hold space for that child inside of you and say, hey, honey, I know you're trying to keep me safe. And at the same time, and I'm adult right now, and I'm already safe, and I give myself food regularly now. Okay, and the final thing we're gonna do is to purposely practice eating your trigger food in front of others. So if there's a specific, I see you laughing, I know, no one wants to do this part, but this is how we change our brain. We have to take a different action and have a different reaction, have new thoughts while we're doing it in order to change this habit. So this doesn't mean you have to go binge in front of someone, but I want you to challenge yourself. And this is something that you could even try, like if it might help to go out to dinner alone. Maybe you go out to a restaurant and you get a sandwich and chips and you practice eating that sandwich and chips at the restaurant and in front of other people. It doesn't have to be people you know. But this is essentially doing exposure therapy for your food fears. This rewires the belief that you need to hide and that you don't need to be on or perfect while eating in front of others. You can be your messy and perfect self too. And maybe if it's something like, if it's the peanut butter, maybe you try just saying, expressing to your partner or to a friend, like, hey, I really want to challenge myself to eat this food. And I might go a little crazy on it. I'm not sure. I haven't done this before. I haven't tried it before, but I just want to try and do it in like a normal way, meaning, for example, with peanut butter. Make yourself a peanut butter jelly sandwich and eat the sandwich along with maybe a salad or some fruit alongside of it. So it's like a complete meal that actually fills you up too. If it's the chips, sitting down and saying, hey, let's have the sandwich and chips together as a family. So you're not trying to fill your hunger on the chips because you probably are going to eat a lot more, making it a balanced, complete meal. I stick to the same things when I eat in front of others. Yeah, so your challenge is to try something new when you eat in front of others. This doesn't have to be your scariest food ever. It could just be something that feels like a little bit uncomfortable. And then when you do that and you get through it, I want you to celebrate yourself. Even if you did binge on it, okay? Even if you binged on it, still celebrating yourself because you're now bringing that habit into the light and making it so it can be easier to change next time. Now, the truth is, it can be hard doing this process on your own and changing your eating habits on your own. You might be doing good for a couple weeks, a couple months, and then diet culture rears its ugly head. You hear people telling you to eat this and not this, and you're bad for eating this, and this is ruining your health. Or your Aunt Carol comes over and tells you that she's on this great new diet, or she's on Ozempic and you should just try Ozempic. Your mom may be commenting on every food choice you make. Dieting is teaching you to ignore your body's cues. There also can be food everywhere. Every Friday, maybe someone brings in donuts to the office, and that's like a challenging thing for you. We're also coming up to the holidays. It's mid-November. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Hanukkah, we've got Christmas, we've got the New Year's, and that's a time when food can be everywhere. And sometimes we end up back in isolation and hiding because it can be hard to keep ourselves accountable at the end of the day. We just start thinking that maybe I'll start over tomorrow, and no one is there to help you get back up and learn and grow from your mistakes. This isn't a you thing, this is just how our human brain works. We have a hard time seeing inside of our own brain and knowing where we're getting stuck and how to change. So it can feel like we're taking one step forward and two steps back. So the truth is, though, you're not going to secret eat if you love how you eat. You can work on changing your thoughts around eating to make you feel less guilty, less ashamed, or we can just eat in a way that we 110% love. I don't ever feel the need to secret eat anymore because I don't binge anymore, and that I eat exactly how I want every day. So once you acknowledge it and you start to bring it into the light, it's like looking into a dark closet, we're putting the light on, and when you can have a guide to support you, when you have the support to get the exact steps, it doesn't feel so scary anymore. And again, I want you all to celebrate yourself already today because you've acknowledged it. You've brought it to me. You've so generously and beautifully shared vulnerably in the chat your struggles and what you're dealing with. But when you can have a friend there for you consistently every single week checking in on you, it's going to give you the accountability that you've been missing. So the truth is that changing your brain that's developed these habits over 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years takes more than I can just help you do in an hour. And this is where I have my full Confident Eater program, which is a step-by-step 6-month program where you and I can work one-on-one using the latest brain science to help you change your brain so you have your dream eating habits, so you don't feel the need to secret eat, so you can really stop binge eating permanently. So I have a special bonus today that I'm going to talk about in a moment, and we'll have our Q&A at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. But because I have such a deep level of support that I give people, we do have limited spaces in the Confident Eater program that are open right now. And my program is not for everyone, but if you are binge eating, overeating, or both, doesn't really matter which one you are to me. Ultimately, if you're eating more food than your body needs, there is a way to change that. If you're dealing with strong cravings, especially for sugar and carbs, I know we mentioned chips today. If anyone has any sugar cravings, those are also things we work on. If you're wanting this permanent psychological approach, we're not just doing a meal plan here. We're not just doing a strict calorie count. We're really changing your brain from the inside out, and you're getting a high-touch personalized support. Now, my program is not for you if you're wanting a strict meal plan or diet rules, if you've been diagnosed with anorexia, or you've been hospitalized for an eating disorder before. So this is my client Rachel, and I wanted to share Rachel's story because Rachel was a personal trainer. And you would know as a personal trainer, I actually have another personal trainer client right now who's currently working with me. This was where there's a lot of shame coming up because they feel like I should know it all. I help people get fit all day long, yet I can't figure out food myself. But Rachel decided that she wanted to get this help and support so she could help herself and also help her clients get better too. And she said, words cannot describe how life-changing my experience with Amber has been. As a personal trainer, I thought I could do everything myself as a professional in health and fitness. However, saying yes to Amber's program was the best decision I have ever made. She gave me the tools to start listening to my body and my mind, allowing me to make decisions and develop habits I never thought possible. I've been dealing with binge eating and overeating for almost 10 years, and I'll say a lot of that in secret for her, thinking she was going to be battling her urges forever, but she helped me change that. So even these people that you think in, the real world that you see of, oh, they must have it all together, I want you to know again that you're not alone, that a lot of people struggle with this too. So how the program works is you're going to get weekly private video calls. So you and I meet for 30 minutes every single week, one-on-one. And this is what gives you that accountability and that support and those deeper brain technique tools that we'll use together to help shift your mindset. So this means you're not going to be hiding for weeks in a spiral anymore. You're going to be able to get back up, and I'm going to support you in doing that and get back on track with your eating and health goals each week. Now, if you fall down in between calls, that's okay because you're also going to have unlimited text and voice message support. And this is seriously unlimited. This is something that I so wish I had. Clients will frequently use this to deal with any of their urges that they're having. If they had a slip up and they're like, hey, I'm getting into the mindset of I just want to continue, I just want to say screw it, I help you through that. And then you're going to get on-demand lessons and worksheets in my Confident Eater course. So this is a course that you get instant access to when you join. It also has an app, so you can listen to the lessons on the go, in the car, on a walk. We have 6 pillars that I'll cover that will help give you these tools and skills on how to eat normally. And this is an example of, I finally have a plan to eat normally, of the pillars that we go through. So we first start with looking at your positive food mindset. This is what's going to help you understand the root cause of how much you're eating and how to manage your thoughts and emotions. Then you learn how to eat real foods. So the truth is, there are certain foods that make it easier and certain foods that make it harder to stop binge eating. And I'm going to help you figure those out for yourself, but really coming from this place of you can feel in control around anything that you want to. Third, we go into your stress-free urge solution. So this is going to give you the tools to get through those strong cravings. I know we were talking about in the chat, like it feels like we're just out of our body and like it's this battle between the inner child. That's something the stress-free urge solution addresses. Fourth, we go into your hunger and fullness. This is where you're going to learn how to use your best calorie counter in the world that already exists inside you, which is your hunger and fullness, once we learn how to actually tune into it. Fifth, you learn about confidence and having unshakable confidence in your body. And finally, you're going to learn how to maintain your progress. We're going to make your new life of food freedom permanent by shifting your identity so you can just believe, yes, I am a normal eater. This is who I am now. Thank you for your kind words about your my presence being healing. And so this is an example of the first pillar in the course and how it works. So you would go into the course, you would click on a lesson, and all of the lessons are pretty short. So this is not a lot of homework. If you have about an hour a week, 30 minutes for the call, 30 minutes for the homework or less, we can help you stop binge eating forever. And I know you're already spending so much time thinking about food, but changing this is going to help you save so you don't have to think about food for the rest of your life forever. Right now, you're stressing about how much to eat, what to eat, trying to make up for the binges. What will I do to burn more calories today? So this is actually going to give you back multiple hours every single day, possibly weeks, of your months back of not thinking about food. This is another example of a tool. So you're going to get some PDF guides. Here's one of exactly what to eat to stop binge eating. So I'm going to give you guidelines on what to cook, how to prepare meals for yourself, how to find the foods that feel best for you, how certain foods literally change our brain and make it harder for us to stop binge eating. Jarrell was a nurse. So here's another classical case of someone who you would think like has it all together. He went to medical school, but he was also struggling with food himself. And he said, I can't say enough good things about Amber and her coaching. I've struggled with overeating for so long. I didn't think I'd ever be able to change this. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know if it'd be possible for me, I don't know if I'd be able to change this, that is something that's really common to think in the beginning. But with Amber's coaching, I can now confidently say I don't overeat anymore. Her constant support and fresh perspective were exactly what I needed to make this change in my life. And we were both tearing up on our last call recently as he said, I finally feel like this can exist forever and it doesn't have to be a struggle or a fight anymore. Okay, so now for the really fun bonus. So this is my biggest bonus gift ever, and it is a gift box that is going to be shipped to your doorstep that is worth over $200. So this is a gift box that you're going to get when you book a consultation with me before this Friday. It includes a few fun things. First is this awesome 15-minute timer to help you slow down. So if we're eating really fast, it can make it so we don't hear our hunger and fullness signals properly. So I give you this fun little timer so you can use it to time yourself and watch it while you eat to help slow yourself down. Then you're also going to get this cute little mini spoon. This is just something that I thought was really fun to help slow you down while you're eating ice cream or maybe peanut butter, just to encourage more mindfulness and helping you savor every bite. And then I also have a custom journal. This is my Confident Eater journal, and it has weekly prompts to help you accelerate your progress. So in the first section, I have a section for open notes and journaling. So this is just anytime we're on a call together, you might want to just take some notes or journal about something that we talked about in our coaching session. And then in the second section, I have over 50 customized prompts that you're going to be able to go through and journal on that will help guide you throughout our 6 months together as well. So super fun bonus. And who doesn't love getting something shipped to their front doorstep? And you get a massage gift card. So this is something that you'll be able to use at a local place near you to help you as just a fun thing for relaxation, self-care, and really to support your nervous system as we begin this 6-month transformation together. Brooke was someone who had already spent over $10,000 on other coaching programs too before she joined working with me. She said, my eating disorder was consuming my life. I couldn't enjoy the holidays or going to dinner without friends because I was worried about eating all of the food in sight. My brain felt like it would explode with all of the urges, but after finding Amber and going through her program, I feel a sense of lightness and trust in myself. I wish I would have found her sooner. I would have recovered earlier if I would have known that I wouldn't need to gain weight in order to be healed. I would actually lose weight. Thank you, Amber, for changing my life. So I also have a full satisfaction guarantee. I know that sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking working with someone new. You're not really sure what you're getting into. And so because of this, I want to make sure that you're a great fit and that we work well together. So you can try the program for 30 days together with full access to all support and materials. And if you feel that it's not a right fit after the 30 days, no worries. You can cancel after the first month and I'll refund the remaining balance. Simple as that. So this allows you to make sure that you are really getting what you want out of this program, but I can assure you that I started this program because I really tried everything myself too, and I wanted to give you the top level of support and techniques in this industry that no one else is teaching. So the option one that you can take is to continue wasting time, money, and energy with random, inconsistent actions, which will keep us stuck overeating. Really asking yourself, where will I be in 6 months if I continue to stay the same? A lot of times we think, I'll just do it on my own, I'll just try harder. But my guess is you've been trying it on your own for a long time. You've been doing all the things, you've been researching all of the things, and nothing has changed. And so until we start to make shifts in staying accountable to what we want to make change, nothing changes if nothing changes. Or we have option two, which is where you can get the step-by-step proven plan from someone who has been there and helped hundreds of other women come out of this as well to stop overeating using the latest psychology to make sustainable habit changes for good. I want you to instead imagine your life 6 months from now where you've stopped overeating. You're living in alignment with your goals. You're feeling free, energized, and confident. And that future can be so much closer than you think. And it all starts with this one step. So Gail was someone that I wanted to include because she was also a big secret eater. She was one of the women who hid from her husband. She was a busy working mom of 3, had a high stress job. She had already tried going to therapy online, doing calorie counting, but she was super focused on the number. She felt like she was obsessed with calories, obsessed with the number on the scale. She was weighing herself every day, and it just gave her so much anxiety. She would hide in the kitchen at night, secret eating. Once she put her kids to bed, her husband was asleep, she'd go down and she'd sneak the goldfish and the Oreos. But by the time we were done working together, she went from 4 times a week binge eating down to 0. She said she can confidently have just one cookie with her kids, was baking them with them around the holidays. She listens to her body and not MyFitnessPal, this app. And she said, with therapy, I felt like I was floating through it, but Amber's program had a real structure and I could see the progression. I knew exactly what I was working on each week. So I want you to know that either way, you don't have to feel alone anymore. Your next steps are booking a consultation call with me. So I will put the link to it in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, there will be a link below this in the replay. So you will pick a time that works for you to talk with me. The consultation is 45 minutes. We'll come on Zoom together and I'll get to know you a little bit deeper. We'll help you refine down your goals and we'll help decide what the best option for you is, whether that's win my program or another program. I always want to make sure that this is something that's truly a right fit for you. So if you're not a good fit, I'll always refer you out to someone else. And then you'll get started on your journey to become binge free for life. So now we will go into, and if you have any questions, so put any of your questions below in the chat, whether it's related to my program, whether it's related to what we talked about today. And while you guys are putting those in the chat, I'll go over a couple of frequently asked questions that I get about my program. Will it be worth the investment? This is usually people's #1 question. I don't know if I want to spend money on myself, if I want to really try something new. But one of my clients, Ashley, just finished up in the program and she checked her budget for groceries and she had been saving over $200 every single month just from not overeating, which I think is huge. And I calculated that if you were to save $200 a month on groceries for the next 60 years, you would be saving over $140,000 alone. And this does not account for how much you'll save on future medical health costs. Doctors are expensive, deductibles are expensive. I've been working with a functional nutrition to figure out some gut issues that unfortunately I got from many, many years of binge eating and having unhealthy foods. Those people are expensive. I can tell you, I spent, $5,000 at least on this one person just to figure out some gut issues I've been having because of all that happened from me binge eating. So the sooner you can figure this out, the sooner you're going to save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line on all of these other medical and health costs. And also, I find that a lot of people, when they're struggling with food, they're not living their full potential at their job and at work because they're thinking about, what did I eat last night? What am I gonna have for lunch? What did I just eat? I'm beating myself over that. And so I've also had clients that have gotten raises during my program together because they're so much more focused at work and their boss starts noticing that and then they get a raise. So they actually make more money over their lifetime too. What makes this program so different and effective? Rula said all of the other coaches and therapists she's seen around food addressed the restriction, but never dealt with the urges, the habits, and changing the neural pathways. This program was really the best decision ever. So we're, again, addressing the unconscious brain, which a lot of people don't focus on. They only focus on giving you a meal plan, a calorie count, these basic things that don't really work. And how a consultation call works. Megan said that working with Amber has been very, very transformative, and I'm so happy with my decision to work with her. She stopped overeating in just 2 months, and she really appreciated the consultation before so we could talk one-on-one first. So a lot of people will get a ton of clarity just from the consultation alone about their eating habits and why they're getting stuck, and it makes it so you can really see the exact plan and pathway for your way out. Okay, so I'll check the chat for any questions. I'm going to go back up a little. I saw something about Ozempic. Okay, you're on Ozempic right now, which I thought would help the thoughts, but it's still there. Sorry, my brain is like, I'm not reading this right. Okay, I am on Ozempic, which I thought would help the thoughts, but it's still there. I'm even thinking of stopping it. Okay, got it. So you're still thinking about food even on Ozempic. Yeah, this is a common experience I see where either people are still struggling with food or they come off of Ozempic or GLP-1 and then they go right back to their old habits because you didn't actually learn any new skills or resources. There's a really interesting study that's done on people who win the lottery. And the majority of people who win the lottery will end up poor again, or even more poor than they were before, because they didn't learn the skill of building and having money. Because it was just handed to them one day. They're like, I don't know how to manage money. I don't know how to spend it. So then they spend it all and then they're in the same place. So it's the same thing with doing a diet or a GLP-1. Someone hands you the solution. Here you go, lose weight. You lose the weight and then you come off of it. And it's like, well, now what? I actually have a podcast episode coming out next Thursday on my Become a Confident Eater podcast. If you want to have some more information about GLP-1s, I did a lot of research on this episode. And, it can be a start of a way to lose weight, but a lot of experts recommend not being on it for more than 2 years. And so it's like, okay, you might make some changes over 2 years, but then what? Then you've wasted thousands of dollars on a drug that just left you in the same exact place. Even if you're at a lower weight, you'll still be thinking about food all the time. And then that will usually end up you gaining more weight. I am the same. I don't know how much I'd be able to afford it, but thank you for asking me to come on. I was really agitated. Yeah. Thank you for coming on today. I know you were nervous about joining and coming on Zoom, but I'm glad that you feel a bit better and that it helped you today. I'm so proud of both of you guys for being here. And again, I know that the financial investment sometimes can be scary, but I truly do think of it as an investment because of eating is something we have to do every single day for the rest of our lives. So if we don't address it, it's something that continues to cost us money over the long term too. Similar to like going to college or investing in a house. Yes, it costs money up front, but it gives you back that investment more and more over time. Well, thank you ladies for being on today. I will let you guys get going. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, again, taking a moment to pat yourself on the back. You've done it. You're here today. And this alone, bringing those habits in the light. The next time you go into eating, I want you to celebrate yourself. See if you can find the small wins and start to remind yourself that your opinion of yourself matters. All right. Adios. Bye. Thank you.